Welcome to Beatsource Tech. My name is Mojaxx and today we're looking at headphones. Not every DJ uses headphones all the time, but every DJ does need a good set of headphones in their life. And especially when you're starting out, you need a good affordable pair, but also a pair that isn't going to break after a couple of weeks. There are a few different good options out there in the sub $100 price range, but today we're looking at two from Pioneer DJ, the HDJ-CUE1 and the CUE1BT. The prices of DJ headphones can be pretty wild these days, with some models well exceeding the $300 mark. But as nice as it is to have super high quality fancy headphone options, more affordable cans are just as important, and this is one area where going super cheap can be a false economy. When I started out many years ago, I destroyed so many pairs of $20 headphones that I would have actually saved money by buying a more durable, higher quality pair much sooner. And that's what Pioneer DJ are promising with the two varieties of CUE1. Headphones which don't cost more than a typical entry-level controller, but which will last long enough to accompany you on your DJ journey for a good while. The regular CUE1s are wired only and come in one colour, which they call dark silver. They are supplied as standard with a black cable and pads. We'll talk about the colour kits later on. Street price is $69 in the US. The CUE1BT adds Bluetooth to the equation for wireless use outside of the DJ booth. They cost $30 more at $99 and come in three colours, black, red and white. The two colour options come with matching pads and cable as standard. The construction of both models is otherwise the same, and that's where the CUE1s have really impressed me. I'm not sure why I never got around to reviewing them when they first dropped, but the regular ones have now been kicking around at home, in the lab and sometimes in my DJ bag for well over a year, so you can consider this a long-term review. And as you can see, they look pretty much as good as new. The build is mostly plastic with a metal headband, and the typical failure points for headphones, where the cups attach and where the swivels are, show no sign of any issues whatsoever. Durability is always the top priority for me when judging headphones at this level, and the CUE1s pass that test with flying colours. Comfort is important too, of course, and the CUE1s do well on that front also. The design is quite reminiscent of the higher end HDJ-X range, but they're actually a lot smaller. Here they are compared with my absolute favourite headphones, the $370 X10s, and you can see those absolutely dwarf the CUE1s. What that means is that the CUE1s are lighter, at 215 grams and 250 grams for the regular and Bluetooth versions respectively, and they will sit more comfortably on smaller heads. As much as I personally love the size of the X10s, I do appreciate that they are pretty huge, and a lot of people don't like that. It also means that the CUE1s are more of a hybrid on-ear and over-ear design, which again many people prefer. Overall, I still find them comfortable on my larger head, and my kids actually used the BT version during some travel over the holidays, and they also found them comfy to wear for a long period. The padded headband isn't excessively tight, so the clamping force on the side of your head is, I found, perfectly tolerable, and the polyurethane faux leather pads are soft enough to be comfortable whilst also being nicely durable. Another factor in comfort is how flexible the headphones are when DJing, as you move them on and off your head, switch between ears, etc. Every DJ wears their headphones differently in the mix, and the design must accommodate that. The CUE1s have a small amount of tilt in the cups themselves, and then there is 90 degrees of rotation towards the front. This is how Pioneer DJ headphones have worked for many years amongst others, and I find that offers plenty of flexibility in different situations. My only disappointment is that because the cups themselves don't flip entirely around, the CUE1s don't fold down especially small. It's still passable though, and you'll get them into a smaller bag pocket than if they didn't fold down at all. We move on to the sound, which is also very important. On the purely positive side, the 40mm drivers do handle a lot of volume without any fuss. You shouldn't find yourself having any issues with the available levels, even when playing in larger, louder venues. Isolation is crucial in a loud booth too, and it means you don't need to crank the headphones so loud to begin with, and I found that to be absolutely on point with the CUE1s. They block outside noise very well indeed. As for the sound profile, my thoughts are more mixed. The CUE1s have a lot of low end with the bass really kicking, and whilst that's an enjoyable sound to listen to, it does tend to muddy the top end somewhat by comparison. It's still there, and the mid-range is clean with vocals coming through with plenty of clarity, but the low end tends to overwhelm everything a touch. To explain if you're new to DJing, when beat matching two tracks together, you're, as the name implies, matching two sets of beats, and some DJs will naturally lean towards matching the kick drums and the lower end sounds together as that feels right to them, whilst others, myself included, will focus more on the snares or hi-hats, which are at higher frequencies. It's all really down to how your brain works, as well as how you learn to DJ and personal preference. So as a hi-hat blender, I find the CUE1s a little more challenging for me to mix with than some other more neutral headphones, but they remain plenty usable for me, and there's no doubt that the low-end heavy sound does make for a very pleasurable listening experience, and if you love thumping bass, you will be delighted. The cable situation is good on the CUE1s, with a replaceable cable with a locking 2.5mm jack at the headphone end and a 3.5mm or 1/8" jack at the other. I refuse to even review headphones without a replaceable cable, as that's typically the first thing to break, and that means generally the end of any cans without one. It's a coiled cable, which is not my personal preference, but at 1.2 meters long when fully coiled, it has enough length to be comfortable. My only disappointment is that the cable, despite having the threads for a screw-on 1/4" adapter, doesn't come with one in the box. Those are very cheap and easy to buy, but for the sake of a few pennies at cost price, I'd have preferred Pioneer DJ put one in the box. Talking about the cable brings us to the replacement pads and cable sets. These are available in 5 colours: orange, yellow, green, blue and pink. Do they look good? Well, that's in the eye of the beholder, of course. What they objectively are is not cheap. At around $30, they aren't far off half the price of the regular CUE1 headphones themselves. But what I do appreciate is that their existence makes it very easy to source a replacement cable and pads after they eventually wear out. All of the consumable parts are readily available, and I always like for people to have colour choices. So overall, it's a win. Finally then, let's talk about the Bluetooth version more specifically. Aside from a little extra weight, the only difference between them and the regular versions is a couple of buttons, a status LED, a micro USB charge port and a small mic hole, all of which are on the left ear cup. To be clear with you, Bluetooth is not an option for DJing. Even if you could get a signal out of your DJ gear, the latency is just too high for mixing. But for general day-to-day listening, connected to a phone, tablet or laptop, they work great. They feature Bluetooth 5.0, so the quality is decent enough, and in my testing, I got between 6 and 7 hours of constant playback from a full charge. You could even use them for Zoom calls and such, as the mic is fairly respectable. So whether the extra $30 for the Bluetooth version is worth it depends entirely on your use case. If you just want them for DJing, save the money and go for the regular version. But if you're looking for a more multi-purpose set of headphones, then opting for the BT model has no impact on their performance as DJ cans, so I'd say go right ahead. So there you go, my thoughts on the HDJ-CUE1 and CUE1BT headphones from Pioneer DJ. I think they're very impressive for the money, absolutely. They're well under $100 in the regular version, and the Bluetooth version just a few dollars more. I think that's a pretty impressive achievement when you consider how durable they are. And that is the thing, if you buy super cheap headphones like 20 bucks or something, they're just not going to last, especially if you take them out of the bedroom and hit the road with them. They're just going to get broken and destroyed very quickly. These now, I've had the regular version over a year. I've had the Bluetooth version, I've traveled with it. The regular ones, I've DJed live with them, I've taken them out to gigs. They're still absolutely alive and kicking. No issues with the build whatsoever. The sound, I'm not a huge fan personally of that really bass heavy sound, but I do understand why Pioneer DJ have done that. That is a very appealing sound to a lot of people, and it may well work really well for you when DJing, but they've also got the volume there, and that is absolutely crucial. They don't start to sound really bad once you start cranking up the volume on your headphone output. You're going to get good results with these, even in larger venues with bigger sound systems. So overall, yes, a very solid recommendation from me. I like these a lot. If somebody I knew was starting out as a DJ and asked me what headphones to buy, I'd probably point them in this direction. So there you go. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Beatsource Tech. If you have, please give us a like and make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future videos. And let us know down in the comments below. Have you tried the CUE1 or CUE1BTs? What kind of headphones do you use for DJing? If not, are you a die-hard HD-25 fan, or is there something a bit more unusual lurking in your bag? I'll see you next time.